What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Negativity Hour. What's up? Good to be back here. I don't know. It's been a minute since I did a podcast episode. I don't know. To be honest, I do so much stuff. It's hard to really keep it all. Like organized in my head, like when I'm thinking about what's going on or whatever, like trying to think what am I doing, what have I done recently? I don't know, it's just kind of hard to remember all that I've done, because I've done a lot, and it's not that I forget what I did, it's that I forget where I did it. So did I do that on my YouTube live stream, or was that the YouTube video I uploaded, or did I do that with Dave on the Theory Underground YouTube, or did I do that with Dave and Benjamin on the Why Left podcast, or did I do it with Dave on the Self-Legitimating Johnson's podcast, or there's just so many different places that it's hard to remember exactly where everything took place. But everything is kind of chopped up into different places intentionally. The format changes, the messaging, it also changes the messenger, right? I engage with recording a podcast differently from how I engage with doing a live stream. And I engage with both of those differently than the way I engage when recording a video to be uploaded later. It's all just different. And actually this morning, I've been, I don't know, man, I'm not in a great mood. And look, I think I'm usually not in a great mood. That's, I don't know, just part of who I am and how I move. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that guy, dude. I don't really give a shit. I'm usually upset or unhappy or displeased with something. And it's not oh, woe is me, I'm so sad, these tacos don't taste good. I'm so oppressed, I wish I had better tacos. But it is I am preoccupied with something. I am preoccupied with, the work, with the project, with trying to actually do something that matters. In a real way. And all of my energy and focus and attention, for the most part, is devoted to that. I kind of really don't, I don't know. I just don't really give a shit about anything else. And I do things, I do fun things. And when I'm doing fun things that are actually fun enough to, capture my attention, then that's awesome. And I love having fun. But I don't know, I guess for the most part, I'm not going to be ebullient and enthusiastic about something. I don't know, unless it's either actually dope and real and meaningful, or it's just so fun that it allows me to forget about how I don't know, unhappy I am. But you know what, this is all fake. It's all an act. I'm actually the happiest boy in the world, and I'm just pretending, because I think it makes me look cool, and it makes me look cool on the internet. And so I go on the internet and I perform this role of oh, I'm such a sad boy, because it makes people think I'm interesting or something, or whatever. I don't know. I'll leave that up to you, audience. You can choose what is the truth. To be honest with you, it's probably a bit of both. I mean, there's definitely a performative element in it. And not even like this like unaware performance. Like there's definitely a level of self-aware performance in it too. Like for sure. Like I'm not going to be here and be like, I'm so authentic, guys. Like, no, yeah, I put on for sure. I put on. But I do try not to put on. I do try to be authentic. But I also don't give a shit about authenticity. It's not real. It's never been real. But anyway, yeah, I'm not in a great mood today. And I've been thinking about stuff, and I was like, damn, I should write. This would actually be a good piece. So I think I'm going to write a short piece, quick piece, about Luigi Mangione and healthcare and politics and all that stuff. But I figured I would at least try to record something about it first, because I don't have time to write a short piece right now. Like right now, today, I have stuff I need to do. I need to finish reading this piece for the really cool, awesome thing that's coming up soon. I also need to finish recording this book for Audible so this guy can pay me, so I can continue to do this cool stuff, so I can make money and have money and stuff. Like that's a thing, right? And there's so much other stuff too, but those are the two most immediate things going on top of all the other stuff that's in process. So I don't have time to write right now because I don't know, I guess I just realized I want to write this piece. Most of the time I realize, I want to write a piece about this, and then I start, and then it takes a while. And it's not that I like sit down and write and draft and do like iterations. I can't write that way. But it is the case that I decide like, I want to write about this. And so maybe I'll write down some notes. Or maybe I'll even create a little outline. Every once in a while I create outlines. And I've actually been trying to do that more of late, because I actually have discovered that it is actually helpful, or can be helpful, for structuring the thoughts. When I come back to it later and I sit down to actually do the writing, it can be very helpful to actually have an outline there. But there's a pre-writing process. I don't really do the drafting thing, but I definitely do a lot of pre-writing. And I also just kind of think about it as well. I think about it. I try to talk to people about it, try to let these ideas kind of unfold in a dialogue with others, trustworthy others. And I don't have the time to do all that right now, but I still want to write a piece about it. But because it is timely, I figured maybe I could record a podcast episode about it and say what I have to say about it. And then people who give a shit what I have to say about it will hear those things. And then hopefully I can stop finding myself in conversation about it. Because the main thing I want to say is I'm done talking about it. And I haven't been talking about it very much. I think I've had 3 or 4 conversations about Luigi since it happened. And that's enough for me. I'm done. I'm tapping out. I don't give a shit. I don't have anything else to say, except for, of course, what I'm saying right now and what I want to say in this piece. And I also don't want to hear what anyone else thinks. Now, there are a few people who I actually care about their opinion. And there is ongoing dialogue. And this whole Luigi thing has found its way into the ongoing conversation. So if and when, because it will come up in these ongoing conversations, that's fine. I get it. there are actually some deeper ideas that we've got going on, and this is relevant to that, to the ongoing line of discourse. But like these kind of superficial, discrete conversations about the thing, I'm not interested. And in fact, not only am I not interested, I think you guys suck, and I want you to shut the fuck up about it. Tired of hearing about it. I was tired of hearing about it the day that it fucking happened. People were celebrating, people were memeing, people were laughing, and you know what? I'm sure some people were, I don't know, horrified, scared, whatever. Like I'm sure it also had negative impacts on people too. And I was just kind of disgusted, and I think I felt, oh, okay, look, there was a little bit of enjoyment for sure, of course. I don't know, like I'm one of those guys who laughs at things, right? So yeah, there was this very surface level enjoyment that was going on, and it was like, haha, that's funny. Let's make a joke. Isn't it ironic that this is happening? Blah, 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 like whatever. Yeah, of course that's there. But really, ultimately, it's just disgust. Like, I'm just over it. It's fucking disgusting. It's depressing. I feel the same type of disgust that kind of springs up when I read about another fucking school shooting. It's like, this is it, dude. We're fucked. We're doomed. We're all already dead. All of this is just like disavowing that death. Like all of that is just like pretending. It's like the house is on fire, and rather than trying to put it out, or rather than trying to like egress, we're just dancing and pretending that the house is not on fire. Or like, it's like the meme, the dog at the table. This is fine. It is all that. And, yeah, I mean, in a sense, that's what everything is. Like everything is just this, like, I don't know. It's a fucking stupid thing that we do. But the healthcare thing, it gets old. I get tired of hearing about it. I get tired of hearing people use it, tokenize it, instrumentalize it, operationalize it, and take a very real issue and like turn it into a prop for an ideology, for a political program. It's the same way I feel about, transgenderism. Like, I don't give a shit. I don't want to have those discussions. It's fucking disgusting to me. People who are talking about transgenderism largely are not actually talking about human beings. They've tokenized, they've instrumentalized, they've turned these people who have like real struggles into just like this fucking, I don't know. It's bullshit. It's just disgusting, and I don't want to have those conversations. I don't have the fucking patience for those conversations. And it's bullshit. And you might say, well, it's important. We should have conversation about it. I'd say you're right. It is very important, but we shouldn't be having conversation about it in the way that people are going about having the conversation, because it either is you're just doing this commoditized version of like social media interaction where it's like, oh, say the thing, get the likes or the down likes, down votes, whatever. Get the engagement, get the algorithmic fucking bump or boost or whatever. Or you're turning it into this thing that's going to support ideological structures and political programs. It's not actual real conversation. There is actual real conversation that goes on, and it's usually between a small group of people who have shared grounds, who have a kind of repository of like shared reference, shared meaning, agreed upon meaning, like already existing conversations, ongoing lines of dialogue, ongoing contradictions, open questions. Like that's where conversation can happen. That's where communication happens. Doing it publicly, doing it on social media, doing it on podcasts and YouTube videos and live streams and journal articles, and it's all bullshit, dude. And I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck what anyone has to say. And I can say that because the people who are in the very small group of people who I actually have conversations with, they already know that I do give a shit about what they have to say. So I can publicly say, fuck you, shut up. I don't care what you have to say. And it is this way with so many, many, many things. I just think with this Luigi thing, this healthcare thing, I think that's the one that's like most repugnant to me, at least right now in the moment. Now, the reason I'm thinking about it is because yesterday on the Why Left podcast, we talked about Luigi. We talked about the healthcare thing. We kind of talked about this issue. And yeah, I don't know. Okay. Yeah. So we talked about it a little bit yesterday. And then after the fact, I ate dinner and I was just like fucking around, chilling, trying to relax. And I made my way to a YouTube video about the school shooter that just happened 2 days ago. And I watched the video for like 20 minutes. And then I just got fucking disgusted. And I was like, I'm done. I don't give a shit. I'm fucking over it. I don't fucking care about anything. Yeah. So I don't know. Like that's where I'm at right now. And then I woke up today and I've been awake for a few hours and, you know, I'm not doing my work that I need to get done. Anyway, the Luigi situation. I don't know. I don't know how forthcoming I want to be. And look, it's partly because this is not even proper communication. Like the things I'm saying here aren't even going to be heard and understood in the way I intend them to be by you, dear reader. And that's the way it always is. That's the way communication works. So it's not like I'm like, oh yeah, if I were talking about something else, then we could actually have perfect communication. No, you can never have perfect communication. That's why we have to do the things that we have to do. That's why we need to search for shared meaning, shared reference, mutually agreed upon background. It is the case that it's just something I don't like talking about, personally. And I don't know if it's worth it to like fight through the urge to repress, to say the things that I want to say about it into this recording that I can then fucking, export and upload to the podcast so you can hear it. So that I can be misheard and misunderstood. I just don't know if that's worth it. That's all the work on my part. I don't know if I want to do it, but I think I do want to do it because I do want to tell you guys, well, not you guys. I want to tell the world to shut the fuck up, to stop talking about it. And if I say that, I have to support that. Like I can't just say that and say, well, yeah, because I said so. Like I have to actually explain why, you should shut the fuck up about it. So I have to. So kind of at this point, doesn't matter if I want to or not. I think it is the case that I have decided that I just kind of have to. If now I can choose not to say shut the fuck up, that's the choice. The choice is not whether or not I should fucking be forthcoming and kind of unpack my sentiment. Unpacking the sentiment is necessary. The choice lies in, do I want to come out and say shut the fuck up or not? That is actually right now an open question. And I'm actually going to pause the recording right now. Because I don't know if I even want to keep recording this. So maybe I'll be back and maybe I won't. Okay, I'm back. It's been, 30 minutes. Made some tea, chewed on some tobacco. Yeah. And that was rough. That was a rough jump off. So if you're still here, congratulations, dear listener. That means you are a little more resilient than the average bear. Maybe not. Or maybe you're just like doing something and you like thought, this will be cool new episode. What's the meme? Wake up, babe. New episode just dropped. And then you're like, cool, I'm going to start this episode and then I'm going to like do something that requires my hands, both of my hands. And like now I can't. Now your hands are dirty. They're covered in goo or they're covered in grease or they're covered in something. And you couldn't grab your phone and stop or skip or whatever. So I tricked you. Ha 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 ha. That was my evil plan all along, to get somebody listening to me being a shitty little bitch. Congratulations. You are the one. I just tricked you. Now you win $1 million. Yay. You get a car. You get a car. You get a car. We all get cars. Fuck yeah, dude. No. Of course not. Whatever. Anyway, so Luigi Mangione and accelerationism and this little 15-year-old girl in Wisconsin. Before we started the podcasts yesterday, we were having some conversations. We had a conversation with Nina before we had a conversation with Benjamin, and then the conversation with Benjamin bled into the podcast. But in the conversation with Nina, she made, I don't know, like a comment. And I don't remember exactly what she said, but she said something to the effect of she is appreciating being able to go a bit slower. And it wasn't like, it wasn't a negative thing. Like this was a positive comment. Like, and we were talking about things that are going to be happening in the year 2025. And it was actually really good and it was really exciting. But she said she appreciates being able to take her time more. And I think it was like in direct reference to, getting older. But it was also in reference to like education and also in like comportment and disposition. And even like at the level of theory, like we should be able to take our time. We should be able to slow down, take the scenic route even. And I was like, yeah, that's great. That's awesome. I love it. But I don't know. It also made me think about myself and my own disposition and my own approach. And there's a large part of my approach that's very like momentum based. So I rely on momentum. I rely on inertia to get things done. And I don't think there's a problem with that. And in fact, I think most people operate that way. But I think one side effect of the fact that I rely so heavily on momentum is we can tend to, or at least I can tend to go. And like, rather than thinking about maybe I should stop, maybe I should slow down, maybe I should take a break, it kind of becomes the case that we become like the snowball rolling down the hill and we just keep accelerating. We don't, stop and take breaks, maybe always when we should. Rather, we go like when it would normally be time to take a break. Over at Theory Underground, we're over here, speeding up, and we're like, we're just getting started. What are you talking about? Take your time. And look, I think this is necessary, and I don't think it's a bad thing. But it also, like, I don't know. I've always been critical of accelerationism. I recently have been thinking about like explicitly making my position like a coherent, legible thing for people, because I am not an accelerationist. I think accelerationism is wrong. I think accelerationism is silly. I think accelerationism is, the easy way out. But I am also like, there's a lot of accelerationism that is true. And there's a lot of accelerationism that like, I don't know, that I get down with. So I'm like, well, what is it? What am I? I'm not an accelerationist, but obviously acceleration is kind of key to a lot of my thought and a lot of, what's going on, or at least what I believe is actually going on and what needs to happen. And how can we kind of like weather the storm and make it into a human future? Accelerationism has a lot to say about that. But accelerationism as such is wrong. And I think it's even silly. So recently I think I said like, I'm an acceleration realist, on some live stream somewhere. And yeah, I think I like that. Like we did the same thing, when we were talking about money realism, or rather than like capitalist realism, being a realist about capital, or being capital realists rather than just surrendering to capitalist realism. I don't know. It's a thing we like to do at Theory Underground. We like to play with words. We like to juxtapose meaning and intention. So rather than being an accelerationist, I can be a realist about acceleration. Maybe, sure, whatever. But it just got me thinking about it. And like the reason I don't like accelerationism is, at the end of the day, it's like you're the guy who's late for work and his car breaks down on the freeway in traffic. And rather than like having the wherewithal to kind of weather that, you just say, fuck it, I'll kill myself. Or even make it worse, if you've seen the movie Michael Douglas, Falling Down with Michael Douglas, great fucking movie. One of my favorite movies. Also, I think a very reactionary movie. That movie is about a guy who's just having a shitty day, and he thinks he's got, he hasn't got a fair shake, and he's like in traffic, and he just freaks out and like starts murdering motherfuckers. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I can't actually relate the plot, but that's the plot. Like, dude's having a bad day. He's in traffic. He's annoyed. It's the end of the world. He seems to be kind of hip to a kind of accelerationism. And rather than, I don't know, like figuring it out, he snaps and he, gets a gun and starts like terrorizing fucking Los Angeles. And I see a lot of myself in that guy. Like, I do tend to catastrophize. There is a large part of me that, yeah, dude, I just want to die, dude. I don't want to deal with anything. I don't want to solve any problems. I just want to fucking die. Partly because, largely, I think because it sure does feel like there is no fucking future. There is no way in hell we're ever going to solve these structural problems that are causing all the fucking misery in the world. And I'm pretty goddamn miserable. So why the fuck would I want to like stick around? Why the fuck would I want to continue subjecting myself to this fucking soul-rending bullshit? I don't like where this bus is headed. I might as well get off the bus now, because I'm only going to be more miserable when we get to the destination. Like that's a tendency in me. That's a compelling tendency in me. And it's something I have to fight against. It's something I have to wrestle with. Yeah. So accelerationism, it's compelling. Accelerationism, I don't know, something we have to reckon with. With Luigi Mangione, a lot of people were very excited about Luigi Mangione. A lot of people are talking about how this is praxis and this is revolution and even this is class war. And you know what? It is class war. And I'm not interested in class war. I'm not. Class war is not the answer. The dictatorship of the proletariat is not the fucking answer. It is true that in order to make an omelet, you have to break some eggs. It is true that in order to construct something new, you have to disrupt and destroy what is extant. It is true that the future will only come at the cost of pain and misery today. So it's not that I'm shying away from a single murder because I want to do this performative thing where I say, well, the dignity of life, everyone deserves dignity. I think it is true. I think everyone does deserve dignity. It's also true that if I were in charge and I had to choose between the murder of a CEO or the murder of thousands, millions in the form of social murder here in America to support the currently existing healthcare system, I would choose the murder of one CEO. I would choose the murder of every single CEO over what we currently have. That is also true. So like it's not like I want to sit back here and do the thing and clutch my pearls and say, oh, but it was a human life that was snuffed out. I don't care about that. I mean, I do. In a sense, I do. At a certain level, I do. But really, functionally, I really don't, because I do care more about, the tens of thousands of people who are dying right now in this country and who will die. Painful, long, slow, painful deaths due to lack of healthcare, due to the fact that they do not have access to healthcare. I care about the tens of thousands of young people who find themselves going down painful, destructive paths because this lack of access to healthcare is a structural condition, along with lack of access to education and lack of access to meaningful, gainful employment, where kids see there is no future. There's no future. It's not the case that because I'm young and whatever, and I'm from where I'm from, like I'm a certain type of person, I have to do the cool gang member crime thing. I have to be a drug dealer and I have to be cool and hip, and like that's not true. That's the post hoc justification for the fact that there's just no future. Kids are born into a world that's already dead. This is why I think abortion is a good thing. Now, it's not that I'm gonna go be an abortion activist or abortion advocate, because I do think it should be it's a serious decision that should be made in the framework of the people there, the people who are going to have to deal with that, the people who are going to have to live with that decision for the rest of their lives, whether they choose to have an abortion or they choose to have a baby. I don't think it's up to us. I don't think it's up to society to make that decision for them. But I also know that society has already made decisions that make it likely for so many children to already be born into a world that's already dead. So again, would I choose the abortion of a single baby over the gross, horrible, tragic, traumatic material conditions of millions of babies, or tens of thousands of babies being born every year? Yeah, I would choose the murder of a baby, any baby, me even, over what we currently have today. So this is why I think we need to keep access to abortion. I also think we need sex education programs that teach people about sex. And I also think we need these are huge fucking structural problems. So people who do this thing where they're like, well, the transgender issue, let's talk about that. And the abortion issue, let's talk about that. And sex and pornography and this and that, that's an issue. Let's talk about that. None of these issues stand on their own. They are all part of this fucking structure. And the structure is the fucking problem. So I just don't like talking about discrete issues as if making progress on any one discrete issue is going to solve anything. I don't give a shit. You're fucking wrong about that. So I just don't have the patience for any of those conversations. I think abortion advocates and activists are silly. I think pro-life advocates and activists are silly. I think advocates and activists are fucking silly because no one is actually doing anything structurally. Everyone is doing this thing where they're like, this is the one issue that matters the most, and let me do this, and let me focus on this, and let me be this activist. It's not going to get us anywhere. We can make all the progress in the world. And we could find an actual solution to these issues. But if we deal with them in isolation, nothing's going to fucking change. And they get used and they get turned into props for ideological bullshit. They get turned into props for political programs. They get turned into props for either Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. And fuck both of those people. They're both demonic vampires. I don't give a shit who you fucking voted for. I don't whatever. Anyway. Healthcare is, I think, an issue that could have an impact if people in America had access to healthcare. It would raise their conditions and allow them to raise their consciousness. And I think it would allow more freedom of movement for people who are interested in change, who are interested in activity. But that's not why I care about it. Because again, I'm not interested in that type of activity. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in developing organizations. I'm not interested in labor unions. I'm not interested in representative politics. I'm not fucking interested in any of that shit. I'm interested in a future, in a human future. And we're not going to get a human future by solving discrete issues. We're only going to get a human issue by overcoming this fucking structure that is the source of all these issues. And when people treat these issues as discrete things that can be dealt with discreetly, you're only ultimately supporting the fucking structure itself because you're reifying it. I care about healthcare because I'm in pain on a fucking daily basis. I care about healthcare because I regularly run through the calculations. Should I get off the bus? Should I continue to allow my body to fall apart in front of my eyes? Should I continue trying to do something that it seems is impossible to do, and that it seems so few people care about, and that it seems will necessarily fail? Should I continue to do all this while it does seem to be the case that I'm very, very quickly running out of time? Okie dokie. What's up? I took another break. This one's a rough one, guys. So bear with me. Once again, if you're still here, congratulations. Or sorry this is happening to you. One of the other. Yeah, took a little break. I read a little bit of this piece, Sean's piece. Really good, really good. But yeah, I want to come back. I want to finish this up, and I kind of want to be quick because I actually do want to get back to reading Sean's piece. I'm actually engaged in it now. So let me clarify this thing with abortion. I want there to be more abortion in the world right now. Now, do I want the future world that we live in, the future utopia? Do I want that to have more abortion, less abortion? Do I want abortion to exist at all? I don't know. I'm not interested in that question. The reason I brought up abortion, the reason I brought up accelerationism, the reason I brought up that school shooter from the other day, these things are tied together and they're inseparable from this healthcare question. It's all part of the same structure. The reason I say I want more abortion is because there are children being born. There are a proliferation of children being born into a world where they will do nothing but suffer. And I'm not going to do this performative thing. I'm not going to do this thing where I sit there and say, oh, the dignity of life, because once again, I do believe in the dignity of life, but I think it's a more principled, more robust, more structural dignity than this very superficial, oh, one life equals one unit of dignity. No, we must recognize suffering. We must recognize that for the majority of people in the world we live in today, being born is actually a tragedy. Being born is actually doing a disservice to that dignity. Now, I also believe in the virtual purpose of nature of humans. So I also do believe that in every person, there is this seed of, beauty and wonder and love and all, and the numinous and even the divine, right? Yes, I believe that's true. But I believe the world we live in makes it impossible or near enough to impossible that I care more about the structures that are standing in the way of people being able to realize their own potential. So it's very complex, and I'm not out here offering solutions. It is true that there are children born into the world today, and they either get sucked into the gang shit because, the culture. It's always been about be cool. You can't actually be happy and successful so you can be cool. And here in America, and I think in most of the West, that has become, be cool, do drugs, get involved in gangs, do violence, do vandalism, do all these things. And no, that's bullshit. And look, I love the art, right? I love the culture. I'm from that culture, and I love it. But it's also destructive. And I also worked in corrections. I worked with young people who all they did was just
destroy. They were just destructive, and they hurt themselves and they hurt others. And it's because at a level they were aware of the fact that there was no future for them. So they joined the gangs and they did the things. And it's just fucking miserable. And yeah, I would rather have abortions than have all this fucking constructed misery. But it's also not an important fucking issue to me. I care more about the structure that causes the misery than this hypothetical, because that's what it is. It's a hypothetical. I don't think it's a fucking question we should be trying to answer. But it is also true that there are young children who are born into this world without a future, and they make their way to radical forums on the internet. They make their way to places that celebrate terrorism and that celebrate mass murder and that celebrate violence. And I think that's especially dangerous for young people, because I do think part of adolescence is this kind of fucking deep destitution, this deep feeling of betrayal, this deep suffering. I think that's a necessary part of adolescence for many, if not most people. And formerly, we were able to navigate that in the context of our family and our village, or, you know, whatever small subset of society we were a part of, community, quote unquote, right? Either you had a supportive family and everything was great and it was cool, and, you know, you guys solved the problems, or you had a shitty family but you had a strong community and you solved all your problems, or, you know, you had a shitty family and a shitty community but you still nevertheless figured it out because you're a resilient person. Or there are also cases where you never figured it out and you did go on to become a destructive, violent person. But that was the exception. The destructive, violent person was the exception, because families and communities were the primary source of social being for these young people, for these adolescents. Now the primary source of social being for these adolescents, for these disgruntled, angry, disenfranchised youth is the fucking internet. And what is the internet? The internet is just a fucking circle jerk. The internet is where we all just go to jack off, and we all go and we make edgy jokes, and we all go try to assuage our own personal destitution, our own personal spiritual enemy, our own personal ennui. We're all miserable, and that's what we're doing on the internet. We're just having a circle jerk to try to make ourselves feel a little bit better about it. And maybe that's okay for us to do if we're all adults, but when young, disgruntled adolescents are spending all their time here and they get turned on and they get turned into forces, vectors of this type of violence, it breaks my fucking heart. And that's all you're doing, people, when you have these arguments about transgenderism, and you have these arguments about abortion, and you have these arguments about fucking race and categories and all this shit. Like, when you're having these fucking arguments, you're just publicly masturbating. And you're just pushing people further and further into these groups that celebrate fucking horrible, horrible things. You're just providing a venue for 15-year-old girls to come up with the idea that a mass shooting is better than suicide, or that suicide is even necessary in the first place. I don't want to have anything to do with it. Fuck you guys. I'm not playing this fucking game. So that's why that all came up. I want to go back to the healthcare thing real quick before I close it out. On the healthcare thing, it is the case that I am a veteran of the United States Army. It is the case that I am necessarily complicit in war crimes. It is the case that I am complicit in genocide because I served in the United States Army. Now, I served in the United States Army out of economic necessity. People who say the poverty draft isn't real, go fucking kill yourself. It's real. And that's why I did it. And I did it because I had my own children. And I did it because I didn't have a future.
So I joined the Army and I went to war. And when I came home, I made the fucking resolute decision to renounce my own actions and try to take up responsibility for my complicity. And because of that, I don't get health care from the Veterans Administration, and I won't. And because of that, I don't get college money from the VA, and I won't. Because of that, I haven't sought in any assistance. I haven't been back since the fucking day I left. And I decided then and there that I would never be back because I am complicit. And I think part of taking responsibility for that, even though it felt like a forced choice at the time, and I think it was a forced choice, or at least a coerced choice, right? And we on the left should be very sensitive to coercion, right? Because we're structural thinkers, right? So it was a coerced choice, but it was a choice I made nevertheless. And I think part of coming to terms with myself as an agent, was to take up responsibility for that. And that takes the form of renouncing it and saying, sure, in a strict legal sense, I am entitled to this. But I don't believe in those rules. I disagree with that system, with that structure. That structure, that system is the problem. And I'm not talking microscopically here. I'm not talking about just the industrial war complex, right? Because it's just part of this vast world dominating structure that's causing all these other problems. It's just a part of it, but it's still a part of it. And rather than do anti-war activism like so many people are doing, or rather than become an advocate for, treating veterans better or whatever, dude, rather than treating it like a discrete issue, I have to look at it as a part of this whole structure. And I can't defeat the entire structure by dealing with one discrete element of it or one facet of it. So all I can do with reference to it is to just not play that game. I disagree with the rules, so I'm not going to play the game. So I think those of you in the crowd with a bit of intelligence can understand where I'm coming from. If you can't understand where I'm coming from, that's crazy. I think that makes sense. At the end of the day, when it comes to responsibility, when it comes to judgment, when it comes to morality, I don't believe the extant structures, the extant explanations for all these things are correct. But I still believe in morality. I still believe in judgment. I still believe in responsibility. So where does that come from? Well, it comes from me. So if I'm going to sit here and say, this is what I believe in, but then I'm going to turn around and contradict that or contravene myself or like say one thing and do the other, then I'm full of shit. And look, I am full of shit because we're all full of shit, but I do try my best to not be full of shit. So that's my personal situation. It's also my personal situation that I am on a truncated timetable. My body is approaching its expiration date. And it is a regular thing that I struggle with my body. And I have become, over the last few years, very, very, very aware that time runs out sooner or later for every single one of us. And it seems to be the case that it's going to be sooner for your boy. Unless we become successful and, millions of dollars start pouring in and I start making the big bucks from being a really good book writer and a really good narrator and just a really cool dude in general. And I can go pay for healthcare. And that's real. That's why I care about access to healthcare, because it affects me personally. Because it's a daily struggle for me. I regularly ask the question, would it be easier if I just killed myself today? No. The answer, reliably, has been and will be no. But for how much longer will that be true? I don't know. And I don't want to think about it. And I don't give a shit. And I don't want to talk about it. And I don't give a shit what anyone has to say about it. Because this fucking shit is real. So I understand the desperation. There was a moment of catharsis when this fucking retard Luigi shot this fucking retard Brian. Felt good for a split second. Because there was a fucking part of me that recognized the action. Because there's a screaming, desperate, violent creature caged up inside me who's in pain and who wants a solution and who wants release or relief. So yeah, I get it. I get why it resonates. But if any of you think that anything will come from this other than more structural violence, more systemic oppression, more surveillance, more control, more stochastic violence in the form of young people who are aware of the fact that there is no fucking future, choosing violence against their fellow citizens as an avenue to some type of recognition and potential collective catharsis for people with whom they identify. That's what's coming, motherfuckers. That's the only thing that's coming. And if you think anything else is coming, you're wrong about that. And if you want to celebrate that, you're very fucking wrong. And I don't want you near me. We should not accelerate. We should not celebrate violence. We should not think that because one person momentarily articulated the desperation that we feel, things are changing. Nothing's fucking changing. Nothing can change for the better anyway. The only change that can come now is for things as they are to continue to intensify, to continue to ramp up. Because people think that dealing with things as discrete issues can and will be effective. And it just won't be. And I'm over it. And I'm tired of people. Oh, Ligotti, Schopenhauer, Malthus, Linkola. Let's be edgy. Let's do the accelerationist thing. Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. I don't believe you. First of all, I don't believe you because there's a huge part of me who's down for that shit, dude. Burn it all down. Start over. Start again. We fucking failed. We lost the game. Give the planet to the dolphins. See you next Tuesday. Fuck you, dude. I'm for it. And I have to fight against that guy inside me, right? That guy's not happy about it. That guy's angry. That guy's miserable. So fuck you. You want to fucking perform the fucking edgy accelerationist? Come on, dude, grow up. Like I love people, and I want nothing more than a world in which we're free to love and pursue love and spend time with the people whom we love. People are wonderful, beautiful, awesome things, right? And everybody contains the seed due to the virtual purpose of nature of humans. Everybody contains the seed of beauty and love and joy in the divine. But due to material conditions, everybody also contains the seed for violence and destruction and hate and misery. And as much as I love people and want to be able to love people, I don't give a shit about love, because the world I live in is one of hate and fury. Profound hatred of the world that exists today is the only fucking thing that gets me up out of bed in the morning. I have moments, I have relationships, communication with people whom I love, right? And it's a give and take, and it's a back and forth. And it's like, hey, we're spending time together. And for this moment, for right now, for the time being, it's okay. Because I love you and you love me. And this sounds gay as fuck, but it's real, right? Like when you're able to engage in these relationships with these people, everything else melts away. But that's not the world we live in, dude. I don't give a shit. The world we live in is a miserable, terrible, horrible, shitty fucking place. And I fucking hate it. And I'm not happy about that. So I don't want to perform that. And I don't want to celebrate that. And while there is an enjoyment, and while it can almost at times become gleeful, because it becomes this reckless, just embodiment of energy, it's also destructive. And I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. It's gross. Fuck you. Go away. Don't, oh, Ted Kaczynski's so cool. Shut the fuck up. I just don't care, man. I don't know. I guess, I don't know. I mean, I want to write this piece about this. Clearly, I have a lot of thoughts about it. And clearly, they're not coming out very clearly right now. It's all jumbled up and wrapped up in a pretzel of something. So I do want to write this piece, but I also felt the need to talk about it just because it's timely, right? And I don't like what anyone's saying about it. And it is already kind of integrated into some ongoing conversations that I'm a part of. And it matters because it is a necessary part of those ongoing conversations. But all you fucking people on the internet memeing about it, and all you fucking people that come to our live stream and want to bring it up in chat and say, is this radical? Oh, look at this. This is so cool. Look at this. Let's be edgy. Let's be accelerationists. Let's be cooler than the other guy. Fuck you, dude. Stop. Fuck you. You're retarded. I don't give a shit what you have to say. Stop saying it. You're just wrong. And not only are you wrong, but you're pissing me off because I am personally invested in this, because I'm not taking this as some broad, memeable fucking thing. This shit hits home, bitch. This shit touches on issues I fucking deal with on a daily goddamn basis. And if you want to take my fucking pain and suffering and turn it into a meme, you can suck my whole fucking dick, dude. But anyway, now that all that's out of the way, I think I'm gonna boogie boogie oogie and get back to doing what I was doing. Yeah, I appreciate all of you for listening to this episode of the Negativity Hour. It is called the Negativity Hour, so if you expected every episode to be happy and fluffy and rainbows and sunshine, Maybe that was my fault. Maybe I failed to communicate that it's called the negativity hour for a reason. Now, that reason is because negativity is a very useful word and it does a lot of work. And I've said before, it's not even a double entendre. It's an infinite entendre. And you can take negativity in this dialectical sense, which most of the time I do. Most of the time I am focusing on the unfolding of things and the fact that we need to allow negativities in our lives and in the world for things to unfold. But sometimes it's going to be the negativity hour because I want to come up here and say a lot of bad words and try to exercise a demon and assuage myself because I'm unhappy. And too many people on the internet do the positive thing. Too many people on the internet do the happy, affirmative, yay, everything is awesome thing. Everything's not awesome. Everything is fucked. But once we exercise the demon, we must get right back to work and we must not tarry in the doldrums down here in the depths, right? So I'm going to go read this sick fucking piece, dude. Sean, your piece goes hard, dude. It's sick. I actually have a lot of thoughts and I actually already have some like problems I want to pose to you, but in this constructive way. But that's what I'll be doing for the next couple hours. And then probably for the second half of the day today, I'll be finishing the narration of this book that I'm currently working on. I'm not going to finish it. I'm not going to be done today, but I could still be done by, well, shit. I'll be done by next week, sometime next week. But anyway, friends, loved ones, people I don't even know, I deeply appreciate your time and attention. I do apologize for being a negative Nance, and I'll catch you on the next one. We'll see you all later. Peace the fuck out.